Hey guys, we are in the basement, and today we are going to talk about a new game. That is right, I have managed to squeeze one more game into John's Arcade down here. It's getting a little tight, but this one was kind of small, so I was able to fit it in. And you know what? There's one genre of game down here that I don't have a lot of. There's a type of game, and that type of game is the vector game that has a vector monitor. You see, this is Asteroids Deluxe, and it uses a vector monitor, and it's very different than like a raster monitor. A raster monitor is like a traditional TV tube where it's drawing with scan lines. It's constantly refreshing and drawing up and down, up and down, up and down, very linear. Whereas a vector monitor is more like a point-to-point, more mathematical, more coordinate-based, and they have a very different look than a raster monitor. And Atari was kind of the king of the vector monitor. I actually used to have a Gradius down here and also a Black Widow. Those are long gone, so Asteroids Deluxe has been my only vector game down here, and I've been really wanting another vector game. And there was one vector game in particular that I really wanted, but I wanted it in a particular cab, and that was Tempest. And here it is. This is a Tempest Cabaret made by Atari in 1981. And the interesting thing about this is it is a color vector monitor. It's actually the first color vector game that ever was released in the arcade. It has a Wells Gardner 6100 inside of it. The game was developed by Dave Theurer, who also did like Missile Command and a bunch of other stuff for Atari, like iRobot, things like that. The guy kind of, he was kind of a rock star. He developed some pretty cool games, and Tempest is definitely one of his coolest games. Again, this is a cabaret. A cabaret is a smaller cabinet. It's a lot smaller, and they kind of classed it up a little bit with like wood grain sides, and I think the idea was these were made to go into like bars and stuff, somewhere where adults would be. They didn't want it standing out. They wanted to kind of make the place still seem adult, so they put these wood grain sides on the, opposed to, art and big crazy graphics. The full-size Tempest is actually really cool too. The artwork on it is awesome, but I wanted a cabaret. Why? Because I'm short on room, and also I love Atari cabarets, and the reason is because most of them, if not all of them, use a full-size monitor. A lot of times with the cabarets, they use like a 13-inch monitor, and I don't like those. So there's really no compromises with the Atari cabarets, because you get the full-size monitor, you get the smaller cabinet, you're really just giving up the artwork on the sides, and honestly, you know what? I don't miss it that much. I think it looks good where it is, and I like it. And Atari cabarets typically always have the marquee below the control panel. Now, Tempest, I believe, was one of the few games that Atari made that was a cabaret that had a lit-up marquee. A lot of collectors now, like with the Centipede Cabaret like I have upstairs, they'll just go to Home Depot and get a fluorescent light bulb and put it behind the marquee. But Tempest, I believe, was a light-up marquee from the factory, and this one sure looks original to me. But anyway, here it is. It is a space kind of tube shooter. I tell you what, why don't I get the tripod set up and I'll show you guys how Tempest plays. Okay, we have the tripod set up here. Now, one thing of note here is the control panel scheme. This game has a spinner right here that moves your little space guy around the circle. And there's a fire button right here, and then there's also a super zapper, which kind of kills everything on the screen at one time. You get one of those per level. That's kind of like the panic button. It has the typical Atari cone switches, they call them, and these light up. 1 and 2 player have it on free play. Anyway, let's see if we can get this set up. It's a vertical game, so can't really get all of it in very easily, but alright, let's start a game. Now, the one thing here about this game is that you're required to select a starting level. I'm going to start on the first level. And what you're doing here is my ship is going around the outside of this level, and there's like a gazillion different levels. And I'm trying basically to kill everything as it's coming out of the center. And there you go, I passed level 1. Seems pretty easy. It actually gets pretty hard. It's actually a very complex game because you see these little X guys, they're kind of rotating on an axis towards me. When they get to the outer ring, they're going to be on that same plane as me, trying to kill me. And basically what I'm trying to do is find the longest, the most obtuse angle I can so that I can kill them as they rotate on top of me. See, like there, right there? That guy rotated on top of me. And so I don't want to have a short angle because that gives me less time to kill him. I know it's kind of abstract to explain. But it starts to click once you understand it. And so on this level here, we've got these things that are coming out of the center right there that are leaving these spikes. And later in the game, actually when I leave this level, if I hit that spike on the way out, I will die. See, it says avoid spikes. So there's a little bit of a spike there, and I blasted it and got out of there. So the game starts out very easy. But it gets so hard, so fast. Now those purple diamond guys right there, when you hit them, they will actually explode into 2 X's. So, alright, let's just put my initials in here real quick. I'm going to start on a later level, which is typically what you want to do in this game because it ramps up so slowly. I believe the Twin Galaxies high score settings is starting on level 9, and I'm going to do that right now. And you see it says 54,000. That means I'm going to get a 54,000 point bonus just after I pass level 9, just because I started on a higher level. So, you know, I believe Tempest is one of the first games to ever do that kind of bonus. It's kind of a risk versus reward thing. You're starting on a harder level, and to reward you, they're giving you a big bonus if you actually pass it. It's kind of a little cheap. Ah, shit. So that right there was only a 90-degree angle, whereas right here, if he would have went, it was 270 to kill him. So this is actually a really safe spot right here because he's got to go completely around to get me. So I could just stay right here and not die because it's like a 270-degree angle that he has to do to get me. So I'm going to stay right here because he's got to go 180 to get me because we're on the same almost level plane. Oh, shit. But you can see my score now was 60,000 points because I passed that first level. But anyway, I mean, that's the gist of the game. It gets harder and harder and harder. I mean, it doesn't seem that deep, but actually, you know, once you figure out the strategies and how the geometry and the math of it all works, because it actually is a very mathematical game, because you have to figure out what the right angle is. You basically need to have the largest angle from the previous spot as the X guy swings around. I know that kind of really doesn't make any sense, but it's a very cool game. I love it. It's Tempest. It's 1981 Atari. It's the first color vector game, and it's really cool. So a thing I want to point out here is this whole level start thing. Because if you've got a lot of money, you can put a serious high score in here. See here it says level 9, 54,000 points, and the next one was like a level 10 or 11 with 74,000 points. I couldn't select the next one yet because I haven't gotten that far, but if I do get that far and then I die, the next time I put a quarter in, it'll let me start on that higher level with a higher bonus. And actually, it's kind of cheap in a way because if you got enough money, you could have sat at this game back in the day and gotten a crazy score. Now the score that's on here, my friend Matt put that on there, and I know how he got it because I was here. He played like 30 games in a row to get to that score because he kept getting further and further and further into the game and kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger bonuses he could start with at higher levels because he kept basically just whittling away, getting further into the game, and as the further he got, the bigger a bonus he got. So anyway, I think that's a little cheap, a little irritating. It kind of actually bothers me because that score that's on here really isn't legit. It's just that he dedicated the most time to playing this game or happened to be there at the right time when the large bonus was there as an option. But anyway, anyway, guys, there you have it. That is Tempest. Hope you guys are having a good holiday. I know Christmas is coming soon and we'll be putting up a kind of a Christmas tour here soon. But anyway, until then, guys, check out johnsarcade.com and you can see there's a forum there. All my videos are there. There's all kinds of links and stories and posts and stuff like that. So go to johnsarcade.com, join the forum, and please subscribe to my little channel, and we'll see you guys later.